Welcome back to GH Spoilers channel. Today we will learn about the issue that has left viewers breathless, the explosive custody trial between Carly Corinthos and Willow Tate, a courtroom clash that took a dramatic turn no one saw coming. In true General Hospital fashion, what began as a legal proceeding quickly unraveled into a showdown of secrets, emotional revelations, and shocking testimony that changed the course of several lives in Port Charles. The custody battle over Wiley and Amelia had already reached a boiling point. Carly, fiercely protective and determined to keep her grandchildren close, entered the courtroom ready for a fight. On the opposing side, Willow, supported closely by Drew Kane and represented by the sharp and calculating attorney Rick Lansing, was prepared to argue for her rights as the children's biological mother. From the outset, the courtroom was charged with tension. Rick Lansing, known for his piercing logic and aggressive courtroom tactics, opened his case with an attack on Michael Corinthos' character. He painted a picture of an absent father, emotionally disconnected, physically unavailable, and unfit to be the primary caregiver for two young children. Rick emphasized that Michael had been missing from their lives for several months, during which time he had not been present for any milestones, emergencies, or even routine parental responsibilities. He pushed the narrative that Carly had taken over the children's care by default and that Willow, as the biological mother, deserved full custody to provide them with emotional stability and legal clarity. The judge listened carefully. Carly and Diane Miller, her attorney, remained composed but visibly worried. The arguments were landing, and Rick was gaining ground. Drew sat confidently beside Willow, confident that their strategy would hold. Every point Rick made seemed to chip away at Michael's credibility and painted a scenario that supported Willow's claim. But then the courtroom doors opened. The room gasped. Michael Corinthos entered, seated in a wheelchair, his face partially obscured by bandages. His hands were wrapped, his movements slow and clearly painful. But his eyes were determined, and his presence electrified the room. This was not the image of a negligent father. This was a man who had suffered and still chose to come home and fight for his children. Michael had been receiving treatment in Germany for extensive burn injuries sustained months ago. He was not expected to leave his clinic for weeks, if not months, but after receiving a call from Carly about the ongoing custody hearing, he immediately arranged for transport and returned to the United States. His arrival wasn't just dramatic, it changed the entire trajectory of the case. The courtroom went silent as Michael was sworn in. With clear conviction, he explained his absence. He had not abandoned Wiley or Amelia. He had not walked away from his family. He had been fighting for his life, undergoing intensive treatment, and making a painful physical recovery. Medical documents confirmed the severity of his injuries, and his current state, visible to everyone in the room, made it impossible to deny his account. Willow and Drew sat frozen. The argument that Michael had been an absent and unengaged parent collapsed instantly. Rick's strategy fell apart before their eyes. The courtroom no longer saw Michael as a distant figure, they saw him as a wounded father who had pushed through excruciating pain to be with his children when it mattered most. And Michael wasn't finished. Once he had established the truth about his medical condition, he turned to an even more personal revelation. Producing a set of emails, text messages, and timestamped surveillance photos, Michael laid out evidence that shocked everyone. Willow and Drew had been engaged in a secret affair during the time Michael and Willow were still legally married. The courtroom erupted in whispers. The judge called for silence, and Michael continued. He made it clear that the affair hadn't simply occurred after the marriage ended, it had contributed directly to its collapse. He had suspected for some time that something was going on, but his treatment in Germany had delayed his ability to act. Now, with concrete evidence in hand, he laid the truth bare before the court. Willow's composure cracked. Her hands trembled. Her face turned pale. Drew avoided eye contact, knowing that Michael's evidence was undeniable. Michael concluded by reminding the court that he had never intended to deny Willow access to her children. He wanted Wiley and Amelia to have a relationship with their mother, but in light of her betrayal, and in light of her willingness to distort the truth in court, he could no longer trust her judgment as a primary guardian. He asked that custody be granted to himself and his mother, Carly, who had been the children's rock during his recovery. The judge took a recess to review the new evidence and gather her thoughts. The courtroom buzzed with speculation and shock. Carly comforted Michael, placing a hand on his shoulder. She had always believed in her son, now everyone else saw the strength and resilience he carried. When court reconvened, the tension was palpable. The judge delivered her ruling with a solemn tone. She acknowledged the painful nature of the case and the strong emotions it had stirred. But based on the totality of evidence, including Michael's medical records, his testimony, and the revealed affair, she ruled in favor of Michael and Carly. They would be granted full custody of Wiley and Amelia. Visitation for Willow would be determined at a later hearing. The moment the judge finished her ruling, Willow gasped and collapsed. The courtroom descended into chaos. Drew rushed to her side. Paramedics were called immediately. Willow was unconscious and unresponsive. She was carried out on a stretcher, and Drew followed, panic etched across his face. Michael watched in silence, his own pain still radiating from every part of his body. But his eyes remained on Wiley and Amelia, who were now under his protection. Carly hugged her son, tears falling freely not just from the courtroom victory, but from the agony of everything they had endured to get there. The aftermath spread quickly through Port Charles. News of the dramatic court proceedings, Michael's unexpected return, and Willow's collapse spread from house to house. Speculation about what would happen next filled every corner of town. The scandal of the affair, the courtroom ambush, and the emotional fallout would ripple through every relationship connected to the Corinthos and Tate families. Diane praised Michael's courage, calling it one of the most powerful moments she had ever witnessed in a courtroom. Carly, though emotionally drained, focused entirely on her grandchildren. She knew they would need support, comfort, and routine to weather the storm. Willow was rushed to General Hospital, where doctors confirmed she had fainted from stress, dehydration, and shock. She would recover physically, but the emotional wounds would take far longer to heal. Drew stayed at her bedside, though the trust between them now hung by a thread. Michael, meanwhile, began the slow process of rebuilding. His treatment was far from over, and his physical injuries would take months to heal. But he had made his statement, both as a father and as a man. He had proven that even in the face of betrayal, he would not give up on his children. The judge's decision marked a legal ending, but the emotional story is just beginning. Willow must now face the community, the family, and herself. Drew must reckon with the choices he made and the fallout of a strategy that cost them everything. Carly and Michael must work to give Wiley and Amelia a sense of peace and stability in a world that has been anything but calm. And Port Charles, ever the town of whispers and secrets, now braces for the next chapter. Next, we will dive deep into the shocking saga surrounding Drew Cain and the tangled web of deception that threatens to unravel lives in Port Charles. Prepare yourself for an explosive journey as we explore the dramatic fallout from Drew's recent ketamine poisoning, the secret players behind the scheme, and the potential for fiery retribution. Buckle up, because this scandal is far from over, and we've got all the juicy details, imaginative twists, and in-depth insights to keep you on the edge of your seat. The shocking betrayal, Drew's dark night unraveled. In a turn of events that has left Port Charles reeling, Drew Cain is slowly piecing together the nightmarish puzzle of a night that turned his world upside down. It all started with a scandalous evening that spiraled into infamy, a night of body shots with a mysterious woman that ended with Drew becoming the unfortunate star of a viral, humiliating meme. But as the fog of that chaotic evening begins to lift, Drew has come to a chilling realization: this was no accident. He was drugged, and the culprits behind this treacherous act are closer than he ever imagined. The stakes are higher than ever as Drew, a man known for his resilience and grit, uncovers a sinister plot orchestrated to destroy his reputation and tear apart the fragile threads of trust he's woven in his personal life. Adding a new layer of intrigue to this unfolding drama, whispers around town suggest that the woman involved in the scandal, later identified as a professional named Jacinda, was no random stranger. Sources close to the situation hint that she was meticulously chosen for her charm and discretion, a pawn in a much larger game. As Drew digs deeper, he uncovers traces of a calculated plan. Someone went to great lengths to ensure that his fall from grace would be both public and irreversible. The emotional toll on Drew is palpable. Once a respected figure in the community, he now grapples with the sting of betrayal and the weight of a tarnished image. Will he rise above the shame, or will this dark chapter define him forever? Unmasking the conspirators, Portia's role exposed. As Drew's investigation intensifies, a familiar name emerges from the shadows: Portia Robinson, a figure whose involvement in this sordid affair has sent shockwaves through Port Charles. Thanks to the loose lips of Brad Cooper, a man notorious for spilling secrets when it suits him, Drew learned that Portia played a pivotal role in the drugging scheme. Brad, ever the opportunist, didn't hesitate to throw his former boss under the bus, revealing just enough to point Drew in the right direction. However, there are still pieces of the puzzle missing, and Drew's quest for the whole truth is far from over. Portia, for now, stands as a confirmed conspirator, her motives shrouded in mystery, but her actions speak louder than words. Let's paint a broader picture of Portia's predicament. Caught in a web of her own making, she must now navigate the dangerous waters of suspicion and scrutiny. Was her involvement driven by personal vendetta, a desperate need to protect her own secrets, or perhaps a misguided loyalty to someone else pulling the strings? Insiders speculate that Portia's hands may have been tied by unseen forces, possibly involving financial pressures or hidden alliances within the hospital's power structure. Her reputation as a compassionate doctor hangs in the balance, and the community watches with bated breath to see if she will crumble under the weight of her choices or stand defiant in the face of Drew's wrath. One thing is certain: Portia's role in this scandal is just the tip of the iceberg. The hidden mastermind, Nina's dangerous game. But wait, there's a darker force at play, one that Drew has yet to uncover. Enter Nina Reeves, a woman with a history of cunning maneuvers and a knack for staying one step ahead of her enemies. Unbeknownst to Drew, Nina is the true architect of this devastating plot, the mastermind who orchestrated the drugging with chilling precision. Partnering with Portia and using Jacinda as her weapon of choice, Nina crafted a scheme designed to shatter Drew's world, leaving no trace of her involvement, at least for now. Her motives seem to stem from a toxic blend of jealousy and revenge, perhaps tied to past grievances that have festered over time. But how long can Nina keep her hands clean in a town where secrets rarely stay buried? Imagine the audacity it took for Nina to pull off such a brazen act. Not only did she hire Jacinda to seduce and sabotage Drew, but she also ensured the fallout would be captured and shared for the world to see, amplifying his humiliation tenfold. Some speculate that Nina's actions may be linked to her turbulent history with Drew, a history marked by betrayal and bitter conflict, including her role as the SEC snitch who once landed him behind bars. Could this be her final attempt to settle an old score, or is there a deeper, more personal agenda at play? As the layers of deception peel back, one question looms large: who will be the one to expose Nina's involvement, and what price will she pay when the truth comes to light? Relationship fallout: Drew and Willow under strain. The ripple effects of this scandal extend far beyond Drew's public image, striking at the heart of his personal relationships. His bond with Willow Corinthos, a source of strength and solace, now hangs by a thread as the weight of the meme and the surrounding controversy tests their trust. Despite the chaos, Drew and Willow remain close, their connection a beacon of hope amidst the storm. However, the public nature of the scandal has forced Drew to confront not only his own demons but also the impact on those he loves most. He's determined to clear his name, but at what cost to his relationship with Willow, who must now grapple with the judgmental whispers of Port Charles society. Picture the emotional turmoil unfolding between Drew and Willow behind closed doors. Late-night conversations filled with doubt and reassurance, stolen glances that speak of unspoken fears, and the quiet determination to weather this storm together paint a poignant portrait of their struggle. Willow, ever the empathetic soul, struggles to reconcile the man she knows with the scandalous headlines, while Drew battles the shame of having his most vulnerable moment exposed. Adding to the tension, rumors swirl that Nina's ultimate goal may have been to drive a wedge between the couple, exploiting their closeness as a means to inflict maximum pain. If Drew discovers Nina's role, the fallout could either solidify his bond with Willow or shatter it beyond repair. The stakes have never been higher. Drew's vow of vengeance, a reckoning on the horizon. Fueled by rage and a burning need for justice, Drew has made a solemn vow to bring down those responsible for his suffering. The irony is not lost on fans that Nina, the very person who once sent Drew to prison through her assissi betrayal, may now face a similar fate at his hands. Drew's quest for retribution is a ticking time bomb, and as May sweeps heat up, the anticipation of an explosive confrontation looms large. He's determined to uncover every last detail of the plot, and with each revelation, his resolve hardens. The question remains, just how far will Drew go to ensure that justice is served, and what form will his revenge take? Let's speculate on the potential paths Drew might tread in his pursuit of payback. Will he opt for a legal battle, dragging Nina and her accomplices through the courts to face the full weight of their crimes? Or might he take a darker, more personal route, leveraging his influence and connections in Port Charles to dismantle Nina's life piece by piece? Some even whisper of a dramatic public confrontation at a high-profile event, where Drew could expose Nina's misdeeds before the entire town, ensuring her social ruin. Whatever path he chooses, the echoes of his past imprisonment loom large, adding a poetic symmetry to his desire to see Nina behind bars. The thirst for vengeance is palpable, and Port Charles braces for the inevitable clash. Nina's fate, a prison of her own making? If Drew succeeds in his mission, the tables could turn in a delicious twist of fate, with Nina finding herself staring down the barrel of a prison sentence. After all, it was her master plan that set this chain of events in motion: her decision to hire Jacinda, her collaboration with Portia to obtain the ketamine, and her cold calculation to ruin Drew's life. Regardless of one's opinion on Drew, there's little doubt that Nina's actions warrant consequences. Her past misdeeds, including sending Drew to prison years ago, only fuel the argument that she's long overdue for a reckoning. But will justice truly prevail, or will Nina once again slip through the cracks? Envision the dramatic courtroom scenes that could unfold if Drew pushes for prosecution. Nina, dressed in a starkly different attire from her usual glamorous garb, standing before a judge as her litany of sins is laid bare. The gallery, packed with Port Charles residents, would buzz with anticipation as Drew delivers a searing testimony, recounting the pain and humiliation he endured at her hands. Meanwhile, Nina's defense might hinge on painting herself as a victim of circumstance, claiming emotional distress or coercion as her driving forces. Yet, with evidence mounting and witnesses like Portia and Jacinda potentially testifying against her, Nina's empire of lies could finally crumble. The possibility of her trading designer heels for prison jumpsuits is a tantalizing prospect for fans hungry for justice. The road ahead, scandals and sweeps. As we hurtle through May sweeps, the drama surrounding Drew, Nina, and their web of deceit promises to keep us glued to our screens. Explosive revelations, shocking betrayals, and the potential for redemption or ruin lie just around the corner. Drew's quest for vengeance is only just beginning, and with each passing day, new clues and unexpected allies could shift the balance of power. Will he uncover Nina's role before she has a chance to cover her tracks? Can Portia withstand the pressure, or will she turn on her co-conspirator to save herself? And how will the collateral damage affect the innocent bystanders caught in the crossfire, like Willow and others tied to this toxic triangle? For now, one thing is crystal clear: Port Charles is a powder keg ready to ignite, and the fallout from Drew's drugging scandal will leave no one unscathed. Stay tuned to the ABC General Hospital Spoilers channel as we bring you every twist, turn, and bombshell in this gripping storyline. Whether you're rooting for Drew's redemption or Nina's downfall, there's no shortage of drama to savor. Until next time, keep your eyes peeled for the next shocking update from the heart of Port Charles.